My advice to this group was, okay, look, first things first, you're probably just going to want to renew as is on your plan. And he said, well, doesn't that lock me in for a year? I said, no, it doesn't. In fact, this is one of the biggest misconceptions in the benefit space is a lot of employers think that once they renew, they're locked into that plan for a year. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Benefits on the fly.
All right, we're taking off from Olympia. We're going to be heading up north of Seattle today to meet with one of our newer clients. They were faced with a 9.4% rate increase, and we're going to show them how we can not only reduce their rates by 16% off renewal, but also cut their deductible in half from $3,000 to $1,500 at the same time. More to come on that once we get airborne and start our cruise north.
FAF 549 Deductible Kilo Olympia Tower. Right down departure, northbound approved, runway 17, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff 17, right down with departure, 549 kilo. Flaps are clean, wheels are up, power being set. Okay, we just took off from the Olympia Airport, just heading over the Port of Olympia now. I'll be heading up to Seattle and actually going north of Seattle, meet with one of our newer clients. This company came to us after receiving a renewal rate increase for their October renewal, and they called kind of the last minute, and they said, hey, can you do anything for us? We just keep getting hit with these rate increases every year. And they said, this year isn't as bad as before. It's not a double-digit increase, but it's darn near close. It's 9.4% increase for the same plan we had last year. We just don't get it. My first response was, well, we absolutely can help, but we're not going to be able to do anything for your October 1st renewal. And the reason for that is because they were just too close. And one of the challenges that we see a lot of times happen is that brokers will oftentimes, one of their methods is that they'll hold on to the renewal rate and they won't send it to their client until really close to the renewal. They know their client's not going to like the number they give them. They're trying to, I guess, avoid their client going to other brokers and shopping for better rates. And that seemed to be what happened here. So unfortunately, they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place because they felt like so many businesses do that, what do I do here? I guess I just have to suck it up and pay the higher rate reluctantly because I really don't have any time. It's kind of the last minute, and maybe it's just they've got other things going on, and so maybe from a convenience standpoint too, they say, well, I guess we'll just pay the higher rate, figure out how we can pay for that, add it into our budget, and then we'll just, hopefully it won't be as bad next year. And I feel like this is the cycle that businesses deal with on an annual basis. So my advice to this group was, okay, look, first things first, you're probably just going to want to renew as is on your plan. And he said, well, doesn't that lock me in for a year? I said, no, it doesn't. In fact, this is one of the biggest misconceptions in the benefit space is a lot of employers think that once they renew, they're locked into that plan for a year, when nothing could be further from the truth. There's very few plans out there where you commit to a whole year with them. And usually that's in the self-funded space, and there's reasons for that because they're relying on those dollars to pay claims for the year. So for a fully insured plan like they had, it's like you can be on the plan for another month or two, and then we can bail off of that plan whenever you want. So let us do our work. We'll do an exhaustive market analysis. We'll come to you with some better solutions, and then we'll help implement those solutions, and we'll transition you away from that plan. That's exactly what they did. So they paid for October and November at that 9.4% increase rate. That gave us time and a lot of runway to do our market analysis, which takes quite a bit of time because we spend about 12 to 15 man hours on every one of our analysis because we were looking under every rock out there. We were able to come back to this group with a handful of options that are actually lower than their renewal rate. But the one that we ended up recommending was 17% below that renewal rate that they were paying with their incumbent carrier, which means it was 8% below what they were paying the previous year. So not only were we able to help them avoid a 9.4% increase, we were able to bring their rates down to 8% below what they were paying the previous year. So a 17% difference between what their current broker gave them and what our exhaustive market analysis was able to find. But it doesn't stop there. There's two additional things that this employer is getting that they weren't getting before. Not only were we able to lower their rates down by 8% from their previous year's cost, we were also able to reduce the deductible that their employees had from $3,000 to $1,500. So now their employees have a richer benefits plan, the employees pay less out of their pocket for their cost share, and the employer is saving 8% over their cost from the previous year, 16% from what their broker renewed their plan on. So a lot of times this will happen where a group will call us and say, hey, we don't know what to do. It's last minute. I don't think you can help us because our renewal is next month and we just got our renewal rates and they're really high. And we say, okay, let's take a deep breath. What type of plan are you on? More than likely it's fully insured. You don't have to worry about being locked into that contract. You can just go ahead and renew your plan. Pay the higher rate for a month or 2 or 3, and then we can move you away from that plan and make a seamless transition into a better option for both your employees and for your company. And the craziest thing is most employers are led to believe that they can't do that they have to just, once they renew, they're stuck. This is why a lot of times we'll recommend a group that does renew in the fourth quarter, especially on January 1st, we'll say, go ahead and renew January 1st, and then let's look at your options and maybe look at moving you to an April renewal or a June renewal. Because when you do that, you move away from the chaos of the January 1 renewal, because you're out there with every other business trying to renew your health insurance plan. And so the insurance companies are spread so thin, they just don't have the time for you, and they certainly aren't interested in negotiating rates and trying to be more competitive than the next guy. They just know, well, if you don't like their rates, somebody else will pay them. And so at that point, they just don't have the bandwidth for it. So the second thing we were able to accomplish for this group is not only were we able to bring down their rates 17% below their renewal and 8% below what they were paying the previous year, but we were also able to put them on a level funded plan, which gave this group the opportunity for a potential refund or a claim surplus refund at the end of the year. And that surplus is a $70,000 potential surplus. Over the course of the year, however many claims get paid out throughout the year, of that $70,000, whatever's left over at the end of the year is paid to the group once the group has their 6-month run out to make sure any straggler claims are taken care of. So even if they don't get a surplus, we already saved them 8% off what they were paying the previous year and 17% off their renewal, and their employees are getting half the deductible they have now. But on top of that, they could be getting a refund as much as $70,000. We'll just say half of that gets used in claims, so potentially $35,000 in that case. But most of the time, we're going to see some type of cash surplus, especially for a group like this, based on their claims as well as their health scorecard that we're able to do. So we're able to pull claims, and we have predictive modeling to look at what the likelihood is of how much claims are actually going to be spent. And that's how we're able to dictate which is the best solution for a client. And in this case, particularly, this level funded option is going to be much better than what they currently were on.